Thanks for watching this interview with Tom Curtin. If you would like to see more interviews like this, then you could hit the subscribe button to Sunburnt Country Music. And if you like this interview, please hit the like button as well. Thank you. Tom Curtin is one of Australia's favourite country music artists with 3 albums and a travelling show that takes in most of the land for half of the year. He has a new single, Here's to You, recorded with Laura Frank, and it is the title track of his 4th album. And Tom is about to be on tour again, so I have a lot to ask him about. Hi, Tom.
Hey Sophie, how you going there?
I'm very well, thank you. Great to see you again and to talk to you about this new song. Now, I will start this by talking about Laura Frank, actually, because when I last spoke to Laura, she was on tour with you at the time, and now here you are with the song together. But I'm also interested to know about how you came to choose Laura and Nick, her partner, to tour with, because touring with you is a month-long commitment. So I imagine you have to get on with people.
Yeah, that's right. No, we've got a publicity girl, Jules from Wild Heart Publicity. I asked her if she knew anyone because I needed a backup singer and a bass player and also videographers to help capture the events, all the shows. We've been going for about I think at the time it was about the 8th year touring. And it gets so hectic. You go into these towns, put the shows on, and you're out of there packing up and going, and you're not really capturing what goes on. So she said, "Look, I know this couple that are very down to earth and yeah, are very good on the bass and singing and very good videographers." So I said, "Well, let's just give it a crack and see what happens." So yeah, we just got on with like a house on fire with Laura and Nick, and they've been on 2 7-month tours now with us, and 70 shows each roughly, and yeah, they've lined up for another one as well. So I thought, heck, well, let's just give it a rattle. And Laura's seen a lot of the communities we've gone through, met all the people, seen all the hardships as well. So I wanted to write this song all about those people, and I thought how fitting to try to invite Laura in on the song.
Yeah, the combination of Laura and Nick's skills being exactly what you were after, I think I just don't know many people who could do that actually.
Yeah, well, they're amazing people, amazing people. And they didn't have a caravan this last trip, so I hired my mum and dad's caravan. And mum wasn't a big fan of cats. And about 3 weeks into the tour, I noticed Laura walking a cat early one morning. I said, "What the heck? Have you got your cat in the caravan?" "Yeah, yeah, it sleeps on the kitchen sink." And I said, "What?" And said, "How about we just keep that under wraps because mum and dad don't know anything about you've got a cat in their caravan, so let's just keep it." So it was a big running joke then of every show who walks cats in the audience, and we had a great banter all the way along. And I don't think they handed the caravan back over, and I don't think mum and dad knew about the cat on the sink.
In fact, when I interviewed Laura, the cats were close by. Well, the cat was close by rather because she talked about it. So yes, I did know that was happening. Well, it's good if your parents got it back and clearly it was completely swept clean of any cat evidence.
Yeah, that's right. It was good.
Now, you mentioned the single Here's to You, and it is about so-called everyday Australians. And I say so-called because it's a tendency to, we use the term ordinary people, although I'm quite sure you, more than most, know that there's no such thing as an ordinary person.
Yeah, that's right. These the people we've met are just sort of just the battlers out there that we go to a lot of small country towns, really. We still go to the big cities, but I find I really love going to little places, might not even have a pub. That they're really battling away and they rock up to work each day with a smile on their face, and a lot of the time they're hiding a lot of troubles within their family or community. And so I just wanted to highlight that fact and pay tribute to it. And then the song evolved. Laura came on board, and with her vocals, I reckon really elevated the song. And then I thought, well, actually, this could actually be the title track for the album. And yeah, so it sort of became like that. And yeah, just sort of really proud to try to give back something to the people that we drop into all their communities a lot.
Yeah. Now, you wrote the song with Garth Porter, Rod McCormick, and Chris Matthews. It is quite a combination of talents. Did you have one particular story or one particular person's story in mind when you went to them with the song idea?
Yeah, I suppose I began writing it, and then I got into good mate Matt Scullion and picked his brain. We did a bit of a Zoom. Matt's been really good at trying to get me onto the Zoom. I did a lot of touring with him years ago with the Davison brothers back in 2004 and 5, 6, I
And
think.
actually, sorry, Tom, I think I got that wrong. It wasn't Rob McCormick, it was Matt Scullion. I wrote it down incorrectly.
No, you're right. Yeah,
Oh,
Rod produced. Sorry, Rod engineered the song.
engineer. Right,
So
there you go. I was reading the credits under your video, and clearly I was misremembering. But sorry, go on. You're on a Zoom with Matt Scullion.
yeah. So and then. Yeah, I sort of we took the song then to Garth Porter down in Sydney, and we're always bouncing ideas off him. I'm on the road a lot or on a horse, and so I'm emailing and sending demos off my phone to him, and he puts them on his computer and sends them back to me. And then Chris Matthews, yeah, was on the road as well. I think he helped out a bit with some transitions in chords and things. So yeah, I always it's only a little minor thing there, but I thought no, I love you know paying respects to the people that helped me out. So yeah, he was in there, and it was just a lot of back and forth. But we wanted to really try. Initially, it wasn't really a female's role, but I
Mm,
wanted to then create it because there's so many, that husband and wife team or
mm.
partners out there, and I wanted to sort of shine a light on the female aspect as well.
Yeah. And we have talked in the past about the fact that you do write songs on horseback. I think from time to time, as you were saying, you're often on a horse. I think when you started writing songs, you had spent a lot of time on horseback writing songs.
Yeah, that's still sort of my office most of the day. My wife is trapping me here some lunch times in the office here on the laptop, so I'm getting better at typing. But yeah, most of the time I'm on a horse down there training them, or so I've got a little bit of time to myself. So it's we normally get up here about 3:30 in the morning, start at 4, so 4 to 7 is awesome time of day. No one rings you. You can train. I get about 8 horses ridden, and then I get back up here and help the kids off to school and breakfast and things like that. And then 8 o'clock, 8:15, I'm back down there. So it's just a really cool time for me. But especially song ideas floating around, they sort of come pretty easily that time of day.
Now, the video for Here's to You obviously features Laura, but was made by Laura and her partner Nick, and they, as discussed, they're experienced videographers. You can certainly tell the ease between you and Laura in that video, and I'm also thinking there was probably no one else you could have asked to make that video.
No, I did try to hit someone. No, I didn't. I thought, no, they're amazing people, and they're very punctual, they're very on the money, and so I always throw ideas around. What about this? What about that? Let's go over here. And even getting the backdrop, I told them it was 2K walk, but it was actually about an 8K walk. And they were freaking out a bit, trying to get the sunset and all that sort of thing. So we did arrive back in the dark, but um, you know, they're amazing people, and they really go above and beyond to try to deliver a really cool product and how we sort of see it in our eyes. And we've always got this banter and joking around all the time. So and being on the road in each other's pockets,
Mm.
you do 3 shows a week, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Monday's a travel day to the next venue. And then I say, listen, you guys, you can go and tour, do whatever you want, take your cats, give them a run somewhere else. But they always say, no, we're coming with you guys, and we're going to pull up next to you guys. And it's awesome. It's one big family with those guys, and then all the rest of the crew do the same thing anyway. So it's a pretty awesome atmosphere on the road.
And in the video, there are some people who are not you and Laura. You've got some of those everyday Australians we talked about. How did you choose them, or was it that you went out on social media and said, "I'm looking for some candidates for the video"?
Yeah, no, we're down at a camp draft in southern WA at the time. I said, gee, we got to start thinking about a video clip here. So why don't we, you know, grab a few faces here. So I just went up to them and said, and I took Laura and Nick with me and said, hey guys, we're doing a video clip. It's all about some really cool characters. We need down to earth people and faces. And so I had to rule a few people out, but they were good mates. No, I included them, but it was just really good. We've been camp drafting for a fair few years now over in southern WA. Every few years we tour that way, and we usually take 2 or 3 weeks off touring just to do that and have some family time out with our horses that are on the road with us. And we chase a few cows around. So we know a lot of that community. My wife's from over that way. So they were really cool to grab their faces and talk them through it.
Yeah.
Some are awkward and now let's do that again, and you just got to, I think if you can try to make them relax and chill and pay them out a bit. And I say, mate, you just keep rolling the camera because when they relax, that's when we grab it. And we'll say, that'll do. And usually when you say that'll do, thanks for that, they relax even more and you can grab a bit extra. So
Yeah.
it's, yeah, I sort of helped give the ideas and then I just pass it to Laura and Nick and they sort of just go from there.
That's actually a really good technique, telling people, "Oh no, we're done," because yes, they will relax. But with the great thing with the digital cameras, you can just keep rolling. You don't need to necessarily turn
Yeah.
it off.
And the other big thing I found out too is because I've been where you got those real professional camera guys and they do have all the big white or silver shields, that then light up your face and then the camera's looking at you. And then I just used a grey car the other day in the late afternoon. I said, well, you can park your grey car here, that silver one, and the sun will shine off that and reflect back into my face. And then you get that camera angle here, and it did a really cool job. So we used a bit of that as well, and just sort of harsh um, bush mechanic sort of technique.
Yeah. I
Mm.
think Laura and Nick would be pretty happy that you've picked that up. You could join their videography crew with that sort
Oh,
of.
I don't know if they'd have me, I tell you that.
Now, as I mentioned at the top, you go on these months-long tours. You've talked about Laura and Nick being on the road with you for 7 months, 2 years in a row, about to be 3 years in a row. So your year is split between being in well near Katherine in the Northern Territory in the dry season, running the Outback Experience, then touring during the wet. I'm curious as to, well, I know when you fit in the writing, it seems to be when you're in Catherine. Does the recording have to happen also when you are at home so that you can come and go from Catherine? Because I would think the logistics of trying to fit anything in when you're on the road would be too tricky.
Yeah, on the road's too hard. It's just flat out. But even here in Catherine, it's even worse. We get back from tour sort of mid-April, and then we've got 2 weeks roughly before the 1st of May, before the shows start, with the GAN train, AAT King's buses, school camps, all these grey nomads coming through. So usually I write all the songs on tour or during the year, and then I send them off to Garth, and I might write 25 songs, but then just sort of pick the best ones I think that would fit the album and then send them through to him. He bounces off demos with his keyboard and acoustic guitar and a few vocals there. And we just keep bouncing back and forth. And then I try to go end of April. We get home for about a day and then I'm back on a flight straight down to there for 2 weeks to Sydney and then get back 1st of May. So, yeah, we sort of did this. It must have been last year. We had it roughly all sorted. We had to tweak a few things. And then early this year, I've already flown down and recorded another 5 songs.
Right.
Yeah, for the next album. So I thought, well, let's just keep every year, just keep getting that routine to keep the pressure on me to keep thinking about songwriting. And otherwise, you get, sort of a whole year doing nothing. And then when the album comes out with all these streaming platforms, you still got to
Mm,
have songs coming out to stay relevant. So I thought, well, the album comes out in August. And then I think still a few months later, we should have another single and another one just to keep going and then another album. So it's
right.
a bit of a work in progress.
So the 5 songs you just recorded, obviously for album number 5, because that's what you're talking about with like new songs. And I guess there is something to be said for keeping up the momentum of the writing and recording, because taking a year off, it's not as if you necessarily have to ramp up, because of course you are performing live while you're on the road. You're working with animals for part of the show. You're also playing music. So, but yeah, that momentum of writing and recording, I do think sometimes it's easier just to keep going, even if it sounds a little exhausting.
Yeah, no, I think it's really good too. And I think I've noticed even my vocals are getting better. Um, I'm no Pavarotti, but from years ago, starting out in 2004, then coming through, and then after your tour, you've been singing, sometimes 45 songs a weekend or something. But then by the time you get back into the studio after tour, your voice is just so much stronger. And I
Mhm.
find that it sounds hopefully a little bit better each time. But I've definitely noticed my range is increasing as well. after doing all that touring. So I think you might as well just keep it rolling and just see what happens. And also you get inspired a lot too, and you always keeps your ear out for someone's conversation or a little saying that saying. You can just write it in your phone and then just keep that in the back of your mind as when you get a bit of spare time.
Look, Pavarotti can't manage as many horses and dogs and other animals as you do, Tom. So, well, he can't do anything at the moment because he's dead. But you know what I mean. Like, it's. I think you have a huge skill set, and I actually did hear in the new single. I was thinking your voice did sound different, so that's interesting about what you've just said in terms of vocals. Speaking of those animals, for anyone who has not seen the Katherine Outback Experience on the road, you take horses, you take dogs, you are basically showing how you train animals at home in Catherine, but you're doing it while you're on the road.
Yeah, that's right. It's sort of a snapshot of what we do. Basically, just quickly, I came to the Northern Territory back in 2001, worked on a cattle station, and it was up here that inspired me to write songs, learn the guitar. And I went contract horse breaking for about 10 years, every 3 weeks on another cattle station. And they give you pretty wild horses. You got to catch them, quieten them down, saddle them, ride them, and then hand back to the ringers to go muster the cattle. And so after a while, I entered a singing contest, got to Tamworth Country Music Fest, and met Garth Porter down there. Sarah Storer was actually up here teaching around the same area that I was working on the cattle station, and she entered the singing contest a year or two before me. So that's how I sort of went that pathway down to Tamworth. But then, yeah, I just thought if I could build this Outback show here in Catherine, then of showing real life training horses, working dogs. We train a lot of dogs people don't like or get along with, and intertwine songs and stories to mesh it all together. Then I thought it could possibly work. So yeah, basically we started, and the first 6 months no one really came at all.
Yeah.
First show, no one was there, and all my mates had just give up. But I don't know. I just had this gut feeling. I love what I do, and I just thought if I could, yeah, tweak it so we could show all the psychology of the animal training and getting all these other animals back on track using different techniques with the different individuals,
Mhm.
and take that on the road because a lot of people can't get to the Northern Territory, various circumstances. So I thought, we'll leave all the buffalo and donkeys and wild horses here, but we can take the dogs and the horses and a few guitars and go on the road and see what happens. So again, when we first went the first year, I think it was 9 years ago down the West Coast, I had a fiance, two dogs, a horse, and a guitar. We were working 5 nights a week, and from 15 to 30 people used to rock up to shows.
Mhm.
And yeah, so now over time we've sort of built it up to 250 shows in the dry season, and um, yeah, I think 70 shows over this will be our 10th year now touring with the whole shebang. So it's pretty challenging, but it's quite rewarding when it pays off.
And those friends who told you to give up, well, you've now won awards for this show, from what I understand. You won the like a gold award, NT Tourism or Australian Tourism, something like that.
Yeah, that's right. We somehow managed to win it Best Attraction in Australia at the National Tourism Awards 3 times now. So it's very humbling. And I've always said to those fellas, I'm still mates with them, and I said that I'd one day be love to be playing to 1,000 people at my shows on the road. And I worked out early this year in southern WA, and I worked out on a plane flight back from Tamworth. It was my 2,765 fifth show that we made it to, over it was 1,500 people came to a show. So that was my first ever over 1,000. But I had to ring those fellas up and just say, hey guys, remember that? This is what happened. So yeah, get off me case.
Very much get off your case. Now, you mentioned just then that you train dogs that people either don't get on with or don't like. And, those are the sorts of animals that a lot of people will just say, we'll just, forget about them and leave them. I'm wondering what motivates you to take on those animals and work with them, and whether this has been a lifelong interest of yours to care for animals in this way.
Yeah, I think I just feel sorry for them, to be honest. I suppose there's a lot of people that have bought a dog, and it's a Kelpie or a border collie, and it's too high maintenance, for that suburbia. So you know, in all different circumstances, but I try to take them and I train the heck out of them and um, either resell them down the track after a couple of years, or I give them to a mate that I know that's got work for them on a cattle station or something like that. So I know they're going to have a better life. And
Mhm.
also kids as well. We get a lot of, you know, teenagers too that their parents say, "Hey, mate, this guy's, you know, really caught up here in the drugs or the alcohol. Any
Mhm.
chance?" And I'm pretty reluctant, but same sort of thing. I feel sorry for him, so I go, righto, come up here. And I've had a fair few over the last 10 years that we've just trained. I just train like a dog in a good way. I really don't really get up and don't really growl at them. If they mess up, I just sort of steer them in the right direction, really praise the heck out of them that they do something right.
Yeah.
And you know, it's just amazing how, you know, to see those kids now. They're all on cattle stations. One fella came, he was 15, and he's now running a stock camp with 10 other fellas underneath him, you know. So it's pretty rewarding to see how we sort of got that guy back on the tracks and um, set him up. And I saw him the other day at the Katherine show, and it's just really sort of grounding and rewarding to see that sort of transition as well.
Yeah, Tom, I've talked to you at least a couple of times, and that's the first time I've heard you talk about the young men who come to work with you. So that's actually a significant part of your work as well, I think, and not mentioned in any press release I've ever seen about you either, because the ripple effect of that of taking a young man who's having difficulties at home, at school, wherever it is, and being able to help him turn his life around, and then what he goes out and gives to the world. That's quite extraordinary, but it is in keeping also with the work you are doing with Dolly Stream and with Farm Angel. So I will just go and talk about. I'd like to talk about those at the moment. Now, Dolly Stream was established a few years ago, not in good circumstances. It's named for a girl from Katherine who died by her own hand. She had been bullied. An awful story. From what I understand, what I remember, I think when you're touring, you do quite a bit of work for Dolly's Dream as well. That involves going and talking to young people, for example.
Yeah, for sure. That's right. Yeah, I think, yeah, we began to write a song called Speak Up, another one recently called Be Kind. And yeah, we visit a lot of schools just because I feel like we should, to be honest. And yeah, we drop in there, sing them a few songs, talk about my experience at boarding school and the people I've met along the way and the impact, you know, bullying has had on families. And a lot of these, you know, events we run in a lot of regional areas, a lot of parents come up to me that have lost a son or a daughter. Um, and often we just end up hugging it out, you know. And for me, being a fella that's most of my life just trained a horse in a round yard on a remote cattle station in the middle of the territory somewhere, to be now in the spotlight a bit, traveling around with this show and meeting all these people. And initially, it was very daunting and very I'm still very emotional, but it can be a little bit draining, you know. So luckily I've still got all my horses and my dogs. I find even on the road, I'm just training them. I recharge from them or with them. And then yeah, we meet so many people that inspire me. They're still battling along from all their devastation. But they really inspire me and keep me very grounded. And I think we could easily stay up here in the territory over the wet season and watch the storms roll in, train a few dogs and horses. But I just feel a bit obligated now to get out on the road, give back to. We've seen what all these people come to our shows, and it's not me, it's the animals and the music and the connection those animals give to their kids or their grandparents or the people there. It's for me, it's just very inspiring to see that transition and as they leave, the smiles and recharging those people as they leave. So yeah, I feel in a roundabout way we're all getting a piece, you know, of the
Mhm.
pie and we're all helping each other out. And so if I could do my bit to help people out, well, yeah, I'll give it a crack.
And I think connection is the key in what you said there, because of course Dolly and young people like her have lost their lives to misery in large part because they feel so isolated.
That's right. Yeah. There's you hear, where did we go the other day? Down in Western Australia, we went to this little wheat belt town. I just can't think of the name of it. It had a school. There was 6 kids going to the school, 3 houses in the town, and we got an email from this little kid. Can you come to our town on your tour? So we ended up going there, and yeah, we had about 500 people come out of the woodwork that night for this event, and a lot of the time you could hear people go, "Man, I haven't seen you for years. Where have you been? What are you doing these days?" And it's like a big reunion of all these wheat belt farmers out there that have come back to this event and been through the school or had some connection. And again, I was just going, man, this is so cool, you know. So a lot of the time, you're just getting these goosebump feelings because you just feel like, man, we've created this, and just to see all them catching up, checking in, it's great for mental health. And yeah, same thing. If we can just give back like that, it's we just get the buzz as well.
And I love the fact that a kid sent you an email asking you to come to a three house town. You went, okay, instead of thinking, no, that's not an ideal location. You obviously, yeah, I mean, what an amazing thing to do.
Yeah, now we do get a lot of emails, a lot of letters from kids. A lot of parents probably don't really like me that much because they crank my music in the car apparently all the time and put Tom Curtin on. The parents are trying to throw the CD or the turn me off Spotify or whatever. But we got a lot of kids. Yeah, they're inspired by dog training or horse training. They're learning guitar. Um, you know, and I just think, well, I'd rather have a kid wanting to try to do that sort of thing than be stuck on a device all day. So I say, yeah, just put your earphones on. I try to give me earmuffs to the parents and say, you be right, turn it up, big fella, and keep going. So it's a lot of fun. And I think if I can inspire these kids to keep, you know, being kind and looking after each other and their animals, as well as having a bit of fun and singing songs at the top of their lungs, yeah, my duty's done, I reckon.
Yeah, that's a good movement to have spearheaded, I think. Now you also work with Farm Angels. I don't know much about Farm Angels, so what do they do?
Yeah, they're a phenomenal organization. They really help out. They used to be called Drought Angels. So we sort of aligned ourselves with them back then, must have been 10 years ago. And then just the last couple of years, they've converted back over to Farm Angels because they often supply a lot of support to farmers that have, yeah, been suffering from the drought or floods or economic disaster. And we meet a lot of these farmers, you know, on our tour as well, you know. So I remember there was one, a drover, a mother, and the father were there droving about 1,000 head of cattle in Western Queensland a few years ago. And I was in early December and I asked the lady, I said, you know, how's it going? And she looked a bit disheveled, you know, and she said, well, all my husband would love is some prawns on Christmas Day. And so I said, heck, man, how do we do that? I'll do it for you. And so I worked out where they'd be. And, you know, so just a little thing like that. And that's what Farm Angels is all about. Is you can donate to Farm Angels on their website, but it's all about sending out hampers, necessities, essentials to all these farmers who, and really they do a lot of ringing around and traveling around, checking on people and things like that. I think there's one farmer every 10 days commits suicide in Australia. So it's a massive high pressure out there. And I suppose that's why I'm very deeply connected to the people on the land, their rural communities, um, yeah, the schools out there. It's whatever I can do to check in with them and create an event that would bring all those people together. They don't catch up for months. The pub might have closed down, so there's no meeting ground out there for them. So I want them to come in and this next tour is there's a lot of little towns on there that middle of nowhere, but they'll turn up for sure.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people who live on the seaboard, which is where the majority of the Australian population is, might think that farming has nothing to do with them. But of course, these are our primary producers. This is about our food security and other things that actually run those cities and towns that are on the eastern seaboard. So I think it's through your work, it seems like you can bridge those parts of Australia, but just going to those communities, reminding them that they're important when I would imagine that they often feel overlooked is a really great piece of work.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's also educating too about livestock. about how the farmers, I'm sort of representing, I suppose, on behalf of the farmers, how we treat our livestock, the horses and the dogs, and animal welfare comes into that as well. And then, yeah, with all the trade with cattle, I think there's a recent one with the US importing, Australia importing US beef and things like that. It's sort of quite daunting for the Australian beef economy as well. So, it's I suppose a big a part of the whole thing is education as well. So
Mhm.
when you go to schools and ask them where the milk come from, and the strawberry milk's out of one teat of the cow, and the chocolate milk's out of the other teat of the cow, they totally believe you because yeah, a lot of them just don't really know.
Yeah, right. So I'm just getting a visual of that, but it's a good way to put it. So the animals that you have with you will be going to Tamworth with you, except and you have a Tamworth show in this run, but they will not be with you at the Long Yard Hotel, I would think, because the Long Yard does not have room for horses and dogs. So I'm wondering, you've got Denman just before Tamworth. So Tamworth's just up the road. Do you leave everyone in Denman and just go on your own to the Long Yard, or do you park them at the showgrounds, the race course?
No, well, I've just added, just in talks now for a show at Willow Tree on Sunday, just
Ah,
before Tamworth. And then I've got a mate in Tamworth, just out of Tamworth. So we'll bring all the animals there. We'll do the show on Wednesday at the Long Yard at lunchtime, just a storytelling show with the band. And then I'm going to add another show with the animals either on the Tuesday or the Friday morning and do
okay.
another Outback show while we're there at Tamworth. So
Oh
that's
wow.
all working on that now.
So you were talking about the towns you're going to, the small towns you're going to. This is obviously a huge logistical exercise to put this tour together. Even though you've done it many, many times, you're clearly not just going to the same places over and over again. So how far ahead are you organizing the tour?
Yeah, well, I've sort of been working on this one for the last 3 months, and had all the Queensland sort of roughly locked in. And we've just announced the Queensland dates. New South Wales are just about all locked in. Same with Victoria now. And so usually every day I do sort of 3 hours, middle of the day, usually in here in the office, and then at night as well. Um, and then there's another girl and a husband were traveling through Katherine the other day with their kids, and they just put on Facebook in Katherine, any chance? I'm pretty handy on a computer. My husband's a concreter. So I messaged him and said, Oi, can you get over here, get in the office, stay here for 3 weeks? And they camped up here in the caravan. And I got the husband a job with a mate down the road concreting. And she's just left Eloise just recently. But I said, listen, you keep traveling, but you can work remotely. So how about you and I connect? And I'll keep telling you. And she was a whiz bang because you got to do all the event applications and councils. And so I've sort of pave the way and get all the venues and the community on board, because they got to raise the barbecue and the bar and get all them involved. But then we sort of head it to the council in each shire. So it is very logistical nightmare, but I sort of work with, yeah, lining it up and getting the initial thing going and where to put all the animals and then hand it over to someone that's a little bit more capable. And I'm better off spending my time training horses, and Eloise is very good at doing this thing. But and my wife Annabelle's all about Katherine Outback, and Katherine for the next couple of years organising all the business events and things going on here. So yeah, it's this year it's worked out really well. So yeah, that's roughly how we plan things.
It sounds to me like you're just going to get bigger and better as the years go on.
You got to keep refining. I call it refining, and but it is amazing. I mean, that's right. We don't go to the same town 2 years in a row, and just to share it around the communities. So I love going to different areas for us as well. So we're not just going to the same old venue, and you meet so many amazing people as well. So yeah, it'd be easy just go back to the same place because it'd be just
Mhm.
yep, no worries. But I feel like we're doing it justice if we can get out to a wider span.
And from the look of some of the dates, you are close enough to some major centres that people who are not necessarily living in those towns or on the land could get to you fairly easily. So Denman, for example, is not that far from Maitland and places like that. So anyone who's listening who thinks, oh no, that's you know, that's not part of my life. I can't get there. Yes, you can, and I'm sure it will be worth it to do it. Tom, I'm going to leave it there because I think you have a lot of other things to do in your life. But Here's to You is out now. The album is coming, and congratulations on the song and everything you're up to.
No worries at all. Thanks so much for having us, and yeah, keep up the great work you're doing with all the country music as well. Appreciate it.
Thank you.